Alright, so some of you might have seen on the channel before the Sjogren here. As I said before, I haven't had it shooting because I've been meaning to order a new recoil spring. However, they're not in stock currently, so that's why there's no shooting content on this. But since then, I've just recently acquired another barrel assembly with the tube and wood and all that from an auction for 35 bucks. So it's even got the comp here on it, or threading here. Now the bore, and it's pretty pitted. I haven't cleaned it up yet. Still got a fair bit of rust on it. But since getting it, I noticed that there was a few parts missing out of this, and I kind of want to do an addendum to the disassembly video because of that. So, as same as before, I'm going to take this off. Well, I shouldn't say same as before, but I'm going to take that off and pull this out. And the first thing I want to point out is this. Let me focus. Is this. This tube is missing these interrupting threads. This one has here, which in my opinion might be a factor into the little up and down wiggle this way with this. So what I noticed there just before putting the camera on, there's a little sleeve in here, which is probably not going to show up in the camera, but there's a little sleeve in here, and if I can rotate this with my finger a little bit at a time, and I can see that that little sleeve in here is the interrupting threads that this one here has. So this tube also shows some flaring here, and as such means that this has sheared off. Alright, here she starts to come. There. Alright, that was a couple minutes there. So there's the locking collar. Now this thing here is extremely thin, like sheet metal thin. And this would have gone on this piece. Well, these are all flared up on this. So what I'm going to have to do is take this mag tube and swap it out. Thankfully I got a parts gun with a not so great barrel. So, but that's not the only part that was muddled up on this. That's not the only part. This forward band here has this big replacement screw in it, right here, and there's nothing in between. Like you can see the threading through the underside of the barrel down in here. And one thing I did find out, because this thing, when I shot this before, this would just scoop. There wasn't any friction on it or anything. And so anyhow, so there's that. My 4-stock there. So what I found on this here is the proper ones, and so I get my butterfingers back. So that's the proper screw, and but that's not the only thing. There's a wedge right there. That comes off. There's this little wedge piece here. Let's see. It's got a cone. It's got a round there, and it's got a spot for the screw, so that this mounts on the barrel like so. And the screw goes through, and that's what keeps her locked. Oops, I'm out of frame. So it mounts on the barrel, and that go through and keep her locked. So that was missing. So, well, what do? Well, you swap them out. So it's always good to buy parts. There's a replacement screw for reference right there. It's the right thread. It's just the not the head and length. So put this through. Like so. That'll fit right in there. So I slide this back over. Insert there. Put my 4-stock back on. Oh, and as I realize I put this on upside down. Good job me. Make sure that's the right way around. Put that on. Third end. At this point too, with this all apart, this plunger piece here, you can pull this out with a little piece of pliers or a good magnet, and there's just a little coil spring behind it. So you need to go that far. So this is tight. Oops. There's a mag tube in it, so she's just looking. While I'm here, I might as well. New tube in. That took all the slop that I was having earlier out of this. It's awesome. So, this here. That's tight. That's because that button needs to be depressed ever so slightly so this can clear. Takes all the slop out of that, thankfully. And of course you get that little screw down here for retaining the tube. The other thing is this tube doesn't have that big Jesus ugly metal rod that's attached as a stop to the follower here, so I actually got a full mag tube. This isn't exactly my hunting gun, so that's fine for range use. Get the full mag tube. This barrel, I'm not throwing it out or anything, it's just I don't need it now. I might try to find a comp for it and then just swap the parts around if I want to try it that way. But this mag tube with that collar being snapped off there it is. It's rope. It's pretty much rope. So just keeping a bin for parts, and that's her. See if you get a little bit of slop up and down. Just check to see if your mag tube hasn't friggin' broken off at some point. Alright, hopefully that's entertaining. I'm going to do a video on how to adjust your headspace on this next. Y'all have a good one.